Mayor, we spoke last time about issues facing the village. So I just want to welcome you back again to talk to me about the village that you are responsible for, and to use this forum just to highlight things that happening in your domain and what you're doing to improve the life of the people that you served. So again, I am going to start by asking that big question. What are the three main issues that faces the village of Rantoul now?
Well, there's three big issues, but I've got to tell you, I don't know why we're limiting it to three, but that's where we're at.
Right, right.
But the thing about it is the first one, of course, is more on the personal basis or the societal basis, is the vaccination of the COVID-19 vaccinations for our citizens. As you know, we've had a good partnership with OSF and the Champaign County Public Health Department to get really proactive in delivering the vaccine to our residents because of the lack of transportation in some cases, personal mobility issues, and then people just failing to make an appointment or not able to make an appointment for some reason or another. So we've taken that on as a major concern and focus in the community to address that issue. The next one is we really have concerns about the forthcoming budget from the governor of the state of Illinois. And because the state has been had a direct impact from the COVID and the loss of jobs, loss of revenues for individuals, and those types of things. And we're waiting to see how our local government distributive funds will be affected by that, hoping that it's not too devastating because we do have projects that we're working on here that we really need the funding for to make this a better place for our citizens to live. So those are major concerns right now. Another issue we have is the economic development, and economic development is both on the corridor of I-57, 72, and 74 are just huge attractors right now of commercial interest, and we get calls weekly about land availability and about possible industry and other interests coming to Rantoul. Plus, the old base still is directing or has a lot of interest coming from outside the local state of Illinois, and so investors are definitely looking at us. So we have some economic issues, but they're good economic issues. They're not
Right,
bad
right.
economic issues. So that's happening. So I hope that answers your question on the three important. I probably gave before. So
Yes. Let's start with the COVID vaccination, as since that is what is on the lips of everyone right now. Let what are some of your main challenge? You spoke about transportation. What are some of the main challenge that you have with the vaccination for persons who are eligible to get it at this time, get the vaccine at this time?
yeah, well, basically it was the transportation issue, and then also the lack of mobility that some people have. Um, uh, just going to the I Hotel or down to Coles, not Coles, but the Dress Barn is very inconvenient for some people, especially the elderly. And so we felt that if we could get just proactive with that and make it easier for people who have decided they're going to take the vaccine, that we wanted to do that. And OSF and Champaign County Public Health were in total agreement with that. And I'm glad that we got the results that we did. What happened on the 3rd and 4th of February is that we made our announcement about 11 o'clock in the morning. And by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, those appointment slots, 500 appointment slots, were filled. And so we had a real positive response to the availability of the vaccine in Rantoul.
And so in terms of the transportation issue, what 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 was done in order to solve that particular issue?
Well, basically, it was just making it available locally so that people didn't have to find transportation to Champaign or Urbana.
So you're saying that it the vaccination was done in Rantoul.
Yes, it was. It was done at our youth center at Rantoul on February the 3rd and the 4th. And we started at 8 o'clock in the morning and we finished the vaccinations up at 4:30 in the afternoon on each day.
Oh, and how long did that go for?
2 days, February the 3rd and the 4th.
Okay. So, would I be correct to say then that everybody in the village who were eligible for the vaccine and were interested in getting the vaccine would have been vaccinated?
No, I don't think so. I think we only had 500 shots available or vaccinations available at that time. We're looking to hold other events in Rantoul so that we can expand that and reach more of our citizens with the vaccination. So dates are forthcoming for other vaccination clinics in Rantoul.
Okay. Um, all right. So that's good news. Um, let's look at the budget issue that you just spoke about in terms of your concern with uh, what the governor is or will be passing later on this year.
Mhm.
Tell me first about your financial status in Rantoul, where you are now, and why is it that you are concerned in terms of what the governor is or will be able to pass?
Okay. Well, the tax issue for Illinois failed. And I know that the governor had been counting on that for additional revenues to help the state with its budget. Due to that failure of the tax increase, um, he has no other choice but to turn inward now and look at other expenditures. So his state expenditures versus his revenues. We don't know exactly how that will impact the individual communities, what percentage it will impact us. And we also have projects going on in each community that we have allocated dollars for or had anticipated spending dollars on to take care of those particular projects so to better serve the public. And we're kind of in limbo right now, not knowing exactly what that impact will be. So we're hopeful that it won't be too devastating. We don't know at this point, and so we'll just have to wait until the governor makes his announcement.
This is a good way to segue to my next question, which has to do with um, updates on the sport complex, which is one of the big project that is being that has been taking place now in Rantoul. Is this budget from the governor, will it affect this project in any way whatsoever?
It may. However, we do have a commitment from the state through Scott Bennett's office for a $500,000 donation from the state of Illinois to help with the funding of this, and we're hoping that we're in receipt of that shortly. Um, but other than that, we have private donations that are making up a lot of the anticipated cost for the village of Rantoul. And the project is running on schedule, on time. So we're looking forward to the grand opening, which is going to be around the first part of April, because we have contracts signed with sporting companies who want to come here and start playing sports. And so we're eagerly anticipating their visits to the village of Rantoul.
When is the scheduled date for the finish for the sports complex to be finished?
We're anticipating, it's not scheduled yet, but we're anticipating that the date will be the last week in March, because our opening games are April 1st.
Okay. What are the different type of sports that will be played at the complex here?
Well, there's a variety of sports. Football, of course, is the big one, and softball, baseball. We have soccer, lacrosse, rugby, ultimate frisbee. Uh, that's all coming.
Okay. I was just last night thinking there won't be any indoor area for like winter sports like now for like basketball or table or tennis or any of those sports. There won't be any indoor building for those type of sports.
Not at this point in time. We don't have any facilities for that, other than our local facilities, which would be the high school gyms and our own private gym and basketball courts that we have at the rec department. We're hoping that that would be phase two of our project, to be able to put something under some type of shelter for the future. But that's way into the future right now, because the pandemic is having an effect on sports, as you well know.
Right. Um, my next question before we move on to, well, I could say this is a part of economic development also, but the last time we spoke, one of your concern was housing development. You had mentioned that the village needed persons to come in and build houses. Um, have you had any proposals since from any interesting party who would want to come into Rantoul and develop housing?
Uh, well, we're getting some interest on the local level. Again, we have ongoing discussions with potential developers for that purpose. The reason for that is very primary. Is people have come to Rantoul and now are starting to invest in property on a speculative basis because of the sports complex. So housing availability is very limited inside the community right now. So we're anticipating that these developers will see the light and start to develop new homes. We have one specific site set up. It's about 160 acres available for future development. And we have another site that's also available for future development. But COVID is really having its impact on this endeavor. Okay. So we're concerned. COVID has created a lot of concerns about new home ownership, uh, creating some doubt in people as to whether they can make their obligation, making their payments, that type of thing. So, but we feel encouraged that we still have ongoing conversations with these developers, and the spring, people's attitudes change, and I'm sure that we'll see some new construction in Rantoul.
Great. All right, so let's move into economic development now. What what are some of the new development or interests that is being put to the village at this time? That what are some of the things that people are interested in terms of development in the village of Rantoul?
Okay. Basically, what's happening in Rantoul is that, like I mentioned before, we have our corridor on I-57 and I-72 and 74 in Champaign. That is creating a catalyst of interest for us because the state has also designated certain parts of our community for economic development. And so we're on a daily basis or a weekly basis, not a daily basis, on a weekly basis, we get 5 or 6 calls about factories, industry, different types of interest from all over the United States, asking questions, wanting to know more about those sites. Some people have been here to visit, so that's creating a lot of interest. Our local industries are also expanding. Rantoul Foods is expanding. Another one of our industries is about to make an announcement shortly that they'll be adding an addition on to one of their facilities here in Rantoul. And we're getting ready to make another announcement shortly after the board meeting on Tuesday night about another industry that will be locating here in Rantoul, offering new jobs for this community. And that will be on the old base area. So we're excited about all the things that are happening in this town and the new job opportunities coming to Champaign County and also to Rantoul.
Um, what if you may say in terms of the type the development? Could you say what are some of the development these persons are interested in doing?
It's primarily manufacturing.
Okay. Um, and that just a follow up to that in terms of job. We know that the pandemic has caused a lot of unemployment. How badly is the village of Rantoul affected in terms of unemployment since the beginning of the pandemic until now?
Well, as you well know, it depends upon your industry. Like the hospitality industry has just been devastated. Restaurants are devastated. They're coming back, but they're not coming back as fast as we would like to see them come back. So has there's no community inside the United States right now that hasn't uh, experienced what we're experiencing, and so we're hopeful that the vaccine and the length of time for herd immunity will give us time to rebound and for us as citizens of the United States and also Champaign County to come back from the impact of the COVID-19 on all of us. To be able to pinpoint one industry over another, I can't do that for you because there's a lot of work at home situations now that we didn't have in the past. And as you know, employee turnover inside the companies is an ongoing issue as well.
Okay. You said that there are persons who are interested in uh, some form of development or another on the whole base. Could you explain a little of what type of interests is being proposed for this area of Rantoul?
That's kind of an awkward question for me because I have one company in California that has expressed a real interest in developing one of the base hangar areas. We have another one from another part of the United States that has expressed an interest in the same property, but I'm not free to give out their information or their names or what they do at this point in time. They've indicated to us that they would like to make their own public announcements about that. So that's why I can't really jump into it and say so and so is coming to town. I'd love to, but I can't.
Okay.
So in respect of that, that's the understanding that we have.
All right. I am going to be touching on an issue now that I know a lot of persons doesn't enjoy talking about, and it's crime.
Yes.
Um, I have noticed in recent time there has been a number of shooting in Rantoul. As a village, this must be concerning to you and your team there. What are some of the proposal or what is the village doing to come up with some solutions in order to put an end to this troubling situation?
Well, Anthony, I'm glad you've taken the time to look at that question because this is a small community. And we've been surprised by some of the activity of the shootings here of late because they have increased. And so our police department has been really proactive in solving some of that. I don't know if you're up to date with what's recently happened, but the last incident with the shootings, we were able to arrest 5 individuals. We captured or seized some weapons and some drugs, those types of things. And so that was a specific group of people working either together or not together.
Right.
And so it caused some disgruntlement. We had some happy customers and you had some unhappy customers with that situation. And so they thought that having to exchange fire would be the appropriate way to handle their disagreements. We were disappointed in that. And so now we're working with the victims of those crimes through the use of our social workers and our local area and also our police department to help people find a better way to resolve their issues. Anthony, in the past, our youth would find other ways. It usually was a physical confrontation.
Right.
And now they've turned their focus to the use of firearms. And we find that really disturbing because, we're highly discouraging the purchase of firearms, the use of firearms, because we don't want our society, Rantoul, affected by that. And So we're doing everything that we can to discourage that type of activity. We're working with the potential offenders to reduce violence and also to keep them out of the criminal justice system as well. So it's more one-on-one when we get into this. We're working with other communities who share the common problem, like Champaign-Urbana. They have the same problems that we do, to find an effective way to approach these individuals so that we can reach a different solution other than the criminal justice system. We've also found that our school resource officers, our SROs, are a fantastic caveat to seeking out information so that we can circumvent interaction with the police department on certain issues. I want to be really clear that the acts that you've seen in Rantoul, uh, that they're the random, it's the random population. It's not the random population of the community. It's a specific target, okay, that is being seeing the confrontation, okay.
Okay. And so you, I'm going to give you a choice here. You
Okay.
don't have to answer, or even though I'd love you to answer, but um, are you able to pinpoint the main causes of some of these or these shooting? Is it
Okay.
drug related? Is it just I don't want to call it a gang, but we could use like group having different conflicts. Are you able to pinpoint any causes of these?
I will tell you that I can speak to that, but it will be limited because every situation is different. But what we're witnessing here right now are drug-related incidents. Okay, we're not seeing like gang violence or anything of that nature in the community. So every incident that we've had so far has got something to do with the use of drugs.
Okay, okay. All right. I think that's the end of my questions, but I will give you an opportunity. Well, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
As the mayor of Rantoul, if persons are looking to move to the state of Illinois,
Yes.
why would you encourage them to come to live in Rantoul?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. I appreciate that. This community is growing at a pace that I have never witnessed before in my life. I've lived here since 1966. And I would say that the economic opportunities in this community have never been outshadowed by any other type of economic growth prior to 1917 when Chanute Air Force Base was first developed in this community. Economic opportunity, growth, job opportunities, it's all here. Especially with the sports complex coming, the new industries that'll be coming to Rantoul. I did forget to mention that we are working with the University of Illinois also, working on the autonomous track and testing fields for autonomous automobiles.
Right.
And
We had spoke about that the last time. What's the
yes,
update on that?
we are still working. We're doing test sites and they're looking over the deeds and the environmental issues that were left behind by the United States Air Force. Most of that has been settled, and I'm looking for the University of Illinois to make some type of announcement shortly about starting construction here in Rantoul of that testing site. So, you know, if you have education on one level, you have technology on another, you have sports here, we have a new growth in housing. We're expecting that the complex itself, the sports complex, will generate 500 new jobs by itself. Plus, industries are expanding here. So we're looking probably in excess of 1,000 new jobs within the next year in Rantoul. I think that the opportunities here are just abounding. And so not to look at Rantoul as a possible opportunity in Champaign County could be the biggest mistake that people could make.
All right. Mayor Smith, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me today about issues and everything that is happening in the village of Rantoul. And I look forward to talking to you again as soon as these development move forward and we have announcement or you have announcement to make to the people that you serve in Rantoul. Thank you again, Mayor Smith, for talking to me.
Thank you, Anthony, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.